Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their Sunday. That's right, folks. We're back here on Sunday, and we've got a fun and interesting one for you today, folks, as we always do. Now, today we're not going to be focusing on any specific type of item, right? Usually we'd like to hyper-focus on a particular item, maybe do a deep dive on that particular item, but today we're going to have a more generalized discussion today, and that discussion is going to be around something that many of us are very, very passionate about or disgusted by, and that is toning. That's right, folks. We're going to be talking about toning today and the different types of toning that may be out there. Maybe you can all share with us in the comments some that I maybe missed, and then maybe you can even give me your opinion about how you feel about toning in general on the silver. Now, is that something that you all try to prevent from happening on your silver, or is it something that you kind of seek out in the silver that you buy? You know, everybody's opinion varies when it comes down to toning, and a lot of folks look at it as, oh, toning means tarnishing, and to some degree that's true, right? Toning is kind of like tarnishing of that silver over time, depending on the conditions that it's been sort of kept in, and some sort of conditions can be more detrimental or beneficial depending on how you look at it for how the toning will occur on that piece, if it occurs at all. Now, I have some vintage pieces that are decades old that are in pristine condition. You know, one example that I can think of just off the top of my head would be my Monex rounds, right? I wasn't even planning on talking about these today because today's discussion was around toners, but I don't think I have a single Monex 1982 dated round that is toned up even ever so slightly, because these are in pristine condition, because the way that they were made, from my understanding, is they were made using the white glove treatment, and the way that they were made, they've clearly held up over the decades. So something in the production process, I think, of these Monex rounds and Monex press products, at least the 88 and 82 Eagle rounds that I'm aware of, those, for whatever reason, have always just kind of remained in pretty good condition. Even the 88 rounds that kind of were originally issued in this sort of plastic, like a synthetic plastic wrapping, even those sort of hold up as pretty good condition. But especially the 82 rounds, those are very, very good condition always, and I rarely see them toned up. Now, toning is something that can kind of occur naturally over time, or it's something that can kind of be synthetically done. Now, for example, let's take a look at this. This is something that I can tell you for sure was synthetically done because it was marketed as such and it was produced as such, right? I actually had this run of skull rounds, fractional skull rounds, kind of custom made after I had seen the product that I liked, so I had them make some more, and they're actually artificially toned to have this sort of bluish purple hue. This one is a lot more on the bluish side, but some of these rounds actually have a bluish purplish hue, some heavier on the purple. So this toning that you see here is not done organically. It is something that was naturally done to this round, and truthfully is pretty dang cool. You know, I specifically like these rounds, and you know, these rounds sell at quite a premium because of that toning, in part because it's a nice fractional round. Obviously, yeah, you got to pay the premium for fractional, but because it's hand toned, it's very intricately done poured fractional, right? And so hence the premium. But that artificial toning that you see there is kind of like a coolness factor, and it was artificially done, intentionally done, to cause this sort of effect. And there's a lot of pour artists today that you'll see around the YouTube community and otherwise that kind of hand tone their stuff artificially to make it have those sort of popping rainbow colors, right? So I'm not opposed to that. I actually kind of like this done, as long as you're kind of being genuine about it and saying like, hey, yeah, this is artificially toned. But I do really like especially the blues and purples. I really like those. I know you can get some other colors. There's crazy techniques that these pour artists know of how to get really awesome toning on the pieces. So I really like the artificially toned pieces when they're done tastefully and nicely, and they look appealing to the eye. Now, we can also talk about toning that is done over time just as like a tarnishing thing, and sometimes that's not so pretty. It doesn't look so pretty. So like, let's use this as an example. Now, from my understanding, and this is my belief, is that due to the synthetic plastic nature of these original factory seals, now all these JM and Engelhard bars were originally issued, both the 10 ounce and 1 ounce and even the 5 ounce bars, a lot of them were issued in very, very cheap plastic. Now, they aren't all the same types of plastic, but they're all synthetic plastic material, and it is my belief that that synthetic material sort of creates some sort of a reaction with the actual silver over time, and then causes sometimes nice but sometimes not so nice toning. Now, here's a not so nice example. I don't think anyone would really probably agree that this is nice, but then again, maybe they might. I mean, I just personally find the spotting on this a little bit distasteful. However, some may look at that toning and say, "Oh, cool! It's starting to tone, and this could, if you leave that in the packaging, it could turn into a beauty over time." Maybe, maybe. I think that I've seen better toners than this. I think that we can see better 10-ounce toners than this right here in front of us, just as an example. So this is my one example that I'm trying to show you of a bar that's kind of like, it's a little bit spotty, it's a little bit inconsistent in the toning, and it is naturally probably toned like this due to the plastic, but it's not really done in a very eye-appealing way, in my opinion. Whereas this, right here, is still in the original factory seal. Actually, there's a little slit down here, but it's almost big enough that this bar could slip right out, but not quite. But this is the original factory seal for this as well, and if you take a look, this actually has a little bit more tasteful toning. You got some bluish tinges around the edge there, and if you flip this bar over, that's where things get very, very nice. That's where things get very nice. So in my opinion, yes, this happened probably naturally, in my opinion. Yes, this probably happened due to the synthetic nature of the packaging, and that's when you start to see those blues and those purples and those types of colors, I think. Because I usually see, I think that these blues possibly would be caused by that, because this is still in the original factory seal, so it leads me to believe that it's the packaging that's probably causing that. So this, in my opinion, is one of my best examples, I would say, of a 10-ounce Engelhard toner, at least of the press variety, because it's very, very evenly done, and it's my favorite color, I would say, when it comes down to the toning, and that's a blue. So this is a very tasteful example of a 10-ounce toner, in my opinion, vintage, and this is an example of maybe not so nice of a toner, right? I can give you some 1-ounce examples that I've got down here, all Engelhards. Like, here's an example of something that is, just a little kind of, it almost just kind of looks dirty. It's just like, what is that? Just grime on there or something? So this, in my opinion, is not so much of a nice looking toner. It's more just kind of a dirty looking bar, to be quite frank. And it doesn't have any sort of patina. And so this is my example of something that is not such a great toner. You get what I'm saying? It's just more like a dirty bar than a toner. Whereas here, you're starting to see that patina, but oh gosh, what are all these streaks here on the bar? So it's kind of like, wow, yeah, it's got some crazy toning on it, but it's more just a little bit less appealing to the eye, I would say, right? Cool, rare bar, but not so appealing to the eye. Whereas here, you got some pretty consistent toning, almost a little bit tinges of blue there, not quite, but a little bit. And it's just looking like a nice, evenly toned bar, and it's a pretty nice bar. If you compare this to a normal landscape style bar, let me see if I've got one, then you would see that, wow, it's quite a bit more toned. See? So, like, look at the difference here. You got some bluish tinges almost there, and then this is this is a little bit more clean. So not a heavy toner or anything, but I would say out of these 3 bars that we looked at, this would probably be the most eye appealing. Now, let's take a look at some portrait style bars. Since we just look at these 1-ouncers, let's take a look at some portrait style bars. Now here I've got some pretty decent examples, and let me show you what the deal is here. We got 2 Engelhards and we got 1 JM, all pretty heavy toners here. Now this first one is going to just have that bluish toning around the edges. So that's kind of typically what you'll see when you'll see a toner. You'll start to see it just happening kind of around one place, maybe 2 places. and then it starts to kind of like spread from there. So this is like a nice light toner here up on the edges, on the top edges. Whereas this one, the whole dang thing is patinaed up, both front to back. Like, look at this. This is just dark as heck. But this is just a very, very evenly toned, but you don't see too many like blues or purples or any sort of colors. It's more just like a very dark black toned example. Whereas here you got a nice evenly dark, almost brownish tone, but then if you hit it into the light properly, then you got some of the craziest blues that you've seen. This is like one of my prized possessions, I would say. It's a very, very crazy toner. You can't see it. Definitely the video doesn't do it justice, but I do have a picture of this, which I could probably maybe just put on the thumbnail of this video, and you'll see how crazy this thing can look in the light. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it since I'm clearly failing here, but it's got some crazy blues on it. I really love this bar a lot. The maple style 5K minted bar. Let's take a look at some 5-ouncers. Here's 3 examples of 5-ounce toners, and I'll show you the ugliest first. This one's here in the original factory seal, so I can only imagine that the seal and possibly the way that this thing was kept caused it to create this toning. So I'm thinking maybe something was pressed up against it or something, because it's kind of like a line, a black line through the center of the bar, and that's like a dark black toning there. And up on top of that, it's almost like a perfect looking bar. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but it's not very appealing to the eye due to the inconsistency there, as opposed to like this one is very, very crazy dark all around, nice bar, nicely toned bar, no colors but nice. And here we've got maybe you won't be able to see it in the light very well, but this is a very, very almost rosy colored finished bar here. So this I won't spend too much time on because it's a very subtle toning here, but if you held this up against a normal, MTB Liberty 5-ounce bar, you would see got a nice rosy toning. Here we've got some toning on some odd weight rounds here. These are both JM rounds. This is a 3-ounce Xerox round. These were also made by Engelhard, but this one has just got a nice consistent toning, no major colors, just a kind of like a vintage rustic kind of look there. Whereas this one also has that sort of rustic look, but also has a little bit of blues, hints of blues and stuff around the edges. If you actually hold this one up to the light, and I forget how these things were actually issued originally, but I'm guessing they might have been in some sort of a set or something like that might have been held up against some sort of synthetics, like maybe not a plastic, but possibly like like a velvety fibrous sort of like a case or something like that, because they have like blues around the edges. So that's just what I think. You also have those ring molds like this, which cause toning around the edges. So as an example, I think that's probably what this Canadian Prospector was sort of kept in, possibly, because this is a crazy toner. I mean, this again, also you can't really see in the light. Very helpful for a toner video. But this right here has crazy blues around the edge of the round. Similar to these Geiger bars. These reeded Geiger bars. These were originally issued in this plastic seal, right? So they start to tone bluish around the edge there, as you can see. And so this one has bluish toning here and around the edge, and you can really just start to see, like here, look at that, it's just crazy blue toning around the edges due to that synthetic plastic. You see that? So similarly, this Canadian Prospector is a 250 minted round, must have been kept in like a ring. I'm assuming it was probably kept in something like this, or actually, you know what it was probably just kept bare in the box. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, so you've got your box here, right? They actually typically keep these in a capsule. I mean, these came originally issued in a capsule. Now, what I'm thinking is that this person who was holding this for over all these years, they probably took it out of the capsule and just kept it laid flat there on the actual case, just like that, okay? And due to that, this blue, it's got a blue back. Hence, you got a crazy, if you can't see it in the light here, it's crazy blue toning here on this round. This round has crazy blue toning, so I'm quite confident that they left this bare inside that case, that blue case, and it caused the blue tone. if we can hit that in the light better. And like sometimes changing the, oh yeah, see, you can kind of see it there. Anyways, we won't waste too much time on that. So synthetic materials can cause the toning. That's the point there. Okay, these plastic seals, the boxes that they were originally issued in, things like that, right? Now, let's take a look at this. We've looked at some blue toning, but another type of toning that I always see is the rainbow colored or sometimes the orange colored toning. And check out these 87 rainbow toners. Look at that. That's a very interesting color. So that's cool. Now, some folks, when it comes down to the toning, they don't like these unnatural colors caused by synthetics. They just like original patina. Like, for example, this round, this bar, this bar. And that's as far as it goes, as far as like this bar. This is like just the straight patina. Nothing too crazy, you know? They just like simple, natural toning. If it's caused unnaturally, they don't really want anything to do with it, right? So these are kind of examples that they might like. Even this one might be cool, but they don't necessarily like something that is unnaturally done on purpose, or that's caused by synthetic materials. They just like the original natural patina. Now here's a beautiful example, possibly one of my best examples of a nice patinaed piece here. To take these out of the round, out of the flip, because these are very, very delicate. But look at all that odd material here. So take a look at this. This is crazy toned up. Beautiful. And it's evenly toned and it's beautiful. And I just love it. A little fishy there on the front. Pisces. So that is a beautiful example of toning as well. Okay, here is a beautiful example of toning. Now this is something just like this. It was naturally done, but this is kind of like really in your face. This I feel is very, very tastefully done because it is a nice, it looks very similar to all these naturally toned bars, but this is actually a modern piece that has been toned after the fact, and it looks very nice, honestly. I really like this piece. So that about does it, folks. I mean, I just wanted to cover a little bit of the toning that you might see out there, and I wanted to kind of get people's opinion on it, because a lot of people are disgusted by toning and others only seek out toned pieces, and so it's just kind of an interesting phenomenon that the opinions vary so greatly on them. It's kind of like how opinions vary on vintage. Some people just downright hate vintage. They're like, I'm not going to pay the premium, I hate it, it's stupid, I just want generics. Some people just hate silver, period. They're just a lost cause. But typically, toning, people are all over the spectrum when it comes down to their preferences on it. And so let me know in the comments what you think. Do you prefer toning? What kind of toning do you prefer, if you prefer it? Do you hate toning? How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments. What was your favorite piece that you saw here in front of you? Let me know. Cheers. And hey, we'll do a Whatnot auction today, so give us a follow there, whatnot.com/user/silverbarstacker, and we're gonna have some auction fun. Cheers.